A logistical genius, this methodical military commander rose to prominence in the late Victorian age and would become an icon of the British Empire. Today, we're going to look at the life, campaigns, and most importantly, the medals of Lord Herbert Kitchener. In addition to his medals, as we go through the video, furthermore, we'll explore London locations where Kitchener lived, worked, and influenced the heart of the British Empire. From the ribbons he wore at the time of his death during World War I, it looks like Kitchener had 10 individual decorations, 4 British campaign medals, and 10 foreign awards. He would receive further awards from both British and foreign governments after his death. We'll show these medals as we progress through the video. Horatio Herbert Kitchener was born in June 1850 in County Kerry, Ireland. His family were English immigrants with roots in Suffolk who'd recently moved into Ireland when cheap estates were available after the potato famine. The Kitcheners, therefore, were not from the old Anglo-Irish families that dominated the elite of the country. Throughout his life, the young Horatio would prefer to use his middle name, Herbert, and that's what he would be known by. Herbert had 4 siblings. His father was a former lieutenant colonel in the British Army. His mother suffered from tuberculosis, and during Kitchener's early teenage years, they moved to Switzerland in the hope that the climate would improve her health, though she died soon after their arrival. Up until that point, Kitchener had only received private tutorage and received little formal education in Ireland. He was initially mocked for his lack of academic grounding at school when he joined in Montreux, but he excelled in mathematics, and living in Switzerland, he gradually gained fluency in French and German, skills that would serve him throughout his career. It's thought by some that this bullying that Kitchener experienced as a child would lead him to become the future perfectionist that he was, always striving to prove himself to others through discipline and hard work. With a scientific mind, in 1868 he returned to Britain to attend the Royal Military Academy at Woolwich with an intention to join the Royal Engineers. This began the training that launched his military career. During the Franco-Prussian War in 1871, whilst on leave from Woolwich and visiting his father on the continent, Kitchener decided to briefly join a French field ambulance unit. His participation ended abruptly after he caught pneumonia, and his father immediately brought him back to Britain. Kitchener was severely reprimanded for violating British neutrality as a recruit. Yet, remarkably, he managed to remain in the army and graduated from the academy. He then trained at the School of Military Engineering in Chatham before being posted to Aldershot, where his only experience commanding British troops came during a brief stint with the Mounted Royal Engineers. Reportedly, Kitchener disliked Aldershot, and as a young officer was never one of the lads involved in horseplay in the mess or boozing, and preferred solitude over socialising with his peers. For the next decade or more, his career was largely spent working alone or in small trusted groups of officers and foreign personnel. Although an excellent administrator, he would later be criticised for not having strong leadership abilities on the battlefield. This could have been a result of his lack of experience in managing or leading British troops as a junior officer in his formative years. In the mid-1870s, Kitchener was then sent out to the Near East to conduct survey and topographical work in the area of Palestine under the remit of the Palestine Exploration Front and provide advice to local Ottoman officials. He would learn to speak fluent Arabic and Turkish. In addition to his forward-facing role as a surveyor, Kitchener and his colleague were also tasked to gather information and send back regular reports to the British Army. Essentially, as well as being surveyors, they acted as political or intelligence officers. Think of Major Hogan from Sharpe or the Duke of Wellington's exploration officers. Whilst conducting surveying, at one point in Sudan in Galilee, the pair were randomly attacked by local villagers, seriously injuring his colleague Claude Conder and forcing them to return to the UK to recuperate. As the British officers were pelted with stones and attacked with clubs, reportedly Kitchener saved the life of his fellow officer by fending off the mob with a stick. Kitchener soon recovered and returned to active duty. After successfully completing this surveying mission, Kitchener was then sent to Cyprus in 1878, a newly acquired British colony. He was tasked with surveying the entire island, a project that would take around 3 years to complete. During this time, he clashed with Sir Garnet Wolseley, the governor of Cyprus, over the best approach to survey. Sir Garnet wanted it rough and ready to tax people, whereas Kitchener, a perfectionist, wanted it thoroughly detailed, which would take a longer time. In 1879, the same year as the Zulu War, Kitchener was promoted to Vice Consul of Anatolia, a diplomatic role engaging with the Ottomans. In 1883, he was transferred to Egypt after the country became a British protectorate in 1882. Kitchener was chosen as one of 26 officers to act as advisors to the modernising Egyptian army. Although popular with his bosses, he was not popular with fellow officers. He was seen as being aloof, strict, slightly unconventional, stovepiping information and sidelining colleagues. As he climbed in his career, Kitchener gathered underneath him a clique of young unmarried officers called Kitchener's Cubs. He even gave them nicknames such as Conk, the Brat, and Handsome Hammy. They would also be termed the Happy Family of Boys. Some of you may see where this could be going, and we'll cover that in a bit. In 1883, he was sent to the Levant to do more research work, but was called back after trouble broke out in the Sudan. Kitchener acted as a scout and on the intelligence staff for Evelyn Wood. He would earn his first campaign medals here, the Egypt Medal with 3 clasps and the Khedive Star. In 1885, Kitchener was sent to the Kingdom of Zanzibar as a representative on the Zanzibar Boundary Commission to help resolve border disputes. The following year, in August 1886, whilst back in London, he was awarded a royal decoration, the most distinguished order of St. Michael and St. George, a diplomatic honour recognising individuals who have rendered important services to the Empire or Commonwealth or friendly foreign nations. This award was later upgraded as his career progressed, and he was made Knight Commander and ultimately received the Grand Cross of the Order in 1901 for his services commanding British forces in South Africa. In 1886, he was appointed Governor of Sokin in eastern Sudan and subsequently was assigned to Egypt as Adjutant General in Cairo. He earned a Companion of the Order of the Bath for his work in the successful Battle of Toski in 1889, where he commanded the Egyptian cavalry. Of note was that his boss, Sir Francis Grenfell, commentated on Kitchener's brusque manner and that he lacked tact. His unpopularity with his colleagues became apparent to his superiors. One contemporary officer stated, "We hated the sight of him." As to the British rank and file, Kitchener had no interest in them. In 1892, his energy and efficiency led to his appointment as Chief of the Egyptian Army, known as the Sidar. During his tenure, on justifications that marriage allowances were an unnecessary expense, Kitchener would aim to hire young, unmarried officers. Again, this wouldn't help with future rumours about his private life. That said, Sir Evelyn Baring, the British Controller General in Egypt, said of Kitchener, "He was the most able soldier that I have come across in my time." An 1890 War Office evaluation of Kitchener stated, "A good brigadier, very ambitious, not popular, but of late has improved greatly in tact and manner." In 1898, with British concerns over French encroachment and a recent Italian defeat in Abyssinia, Kitchener was tasked to lead the British and Egyptian armies to reconquer the Sudan. An engineer, Kitchener methodically advanced into Sudan, building a railway and employing Canadians who were specialists in long-distance railway construction. The campaign culminated in the decisive victory at the Battle of Omdurman. Check out my full video on Lance Corporal Jones from Dad's Army for full details on that battle. After the Battle of Omdurman, Kitchener faced criticism for his leadership during the battle itself. Supposedly, he was nervous and even panicked at one point when a brigade, MacDonald's I think, came under pressure. Kitchener galloped around, shouting orders at battalion commanders rather than delegate them to his brigade commanders. After securing Khartoum and negotiating borders with the French during the Fashoda incident, Kitchener returned to London, a national hero. He was celebrated with honours from universities, awarded the freedom of the City of London, and formally thanked by both Houses of Parliament. The public sent Kitchener gifts of gold, furniture and artwork, reflecting his lifelong love of collecting and interior decoration. Additionally, Kitchener received £30,000 and was made Knight Grand Cross of the Order of the Bath, and raised to the peerage as Lord Kitchener of Khartoum and Aspel, earning the popular nickname K of K. With fame, Kitchener would now gain powerful supporters in London, such as Lady Wantage, who in later years would gift him an exclusive residence in Carlton Gardens, near the Mall, St James's Park and Horse Guards. A Victorian Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen, one of Kitchener's favourite hobbies was interior decor and design. Other interests included reading, sketching and architecture, as well as horticulture and flower arranging. Kitchener soon left England with orders to take up the post of Governor-General of Sudan, but this was interrupted when he was promoted to Lieutenant General and in 1899 sent out to South Africa, which was in the midst of the Boer War, to act as Lord Frederick Roberts, Chief of Staff. Together, Roberts and Kitchener turned the tide of the war, defeating the Boers' conventional forces. At the end of November 1900, Roberts then handed over leadership of British forces to Kitchener, who would be responsible for the guerrilla war phase of the campaign. Roberts reportedly viewed Kitchener as a capable leader with strong organisational skills, but overly rigid and bureaucratic. He admired his efficiency, but doubted both his strategic flexibility and interpersonal skills. Speaking of Kitchener as his Chief of Staff, Frederick Roberts stated, "I shall never forget the help I derived from his invaluable counsel and support." I think that's pretty right said, Fred. Although eventually compelling the Boers to surrender, Kitchener would be criticised by many for using brutal policies to subjugate the Boers. His scorched earth strategy led to the use of concentration camps for civilians. Overcrowding, disease and poor conditions caused thousands of deaths, particularly among women and children. In many ways, this would be a public relations disaster for the British Empire, and remains one of the most controversial and tragic chapters of Kitchener's career. Fighting an asymmetric war, Kitchener failed to appreciate the hearts and minds aspect of the conflict, and didn't anticipate the public outcry or reputational damage that his policies produced, even though they were brutally effective. In Parliament, Kitchener would be accused by various MPs of using methods of barbarism. After South Africa, Kitchener would be appointed Commander-in-Chief in India. He would clash with the Viceroy, Lord Curzon. Both men had large egos. Kitchener would work towards modernising and reforming the Indian Army administration and structure. I've heard one story of a photographer who asked Kitchener to trim his iconic moustache for a portrait. Kitchener stated, "My moustache is not at your disposal." Between 1911 and 1914, he was sent again to Egypt in a variety of senior roles, including Consul General. There, he initiated various infrastructure and agricultural projects, attempting to improve locals' conditions. This included building bridges, roads, and railways, as well as improving agricultural productivity. From around this period, there would be rumours about Kitchener's private life. A lifelong bachelor, and allegedly having no real interest in the ladies, some historians have cited that Kitchener was a homosexual. Clearly, in today's more tolerant climate, this wouldn't have been an issue, but with the attitudes at the time, any proof of this would have destroyed Kitchener's reputation and career. In his book, The Light of Experience, Francis Younghusband, a contemporary, stated, "One last misconception about him needs finally removing. Because he was not married, it was supposed that he did not like women. But he was not married, not because he did not want to, he did. And he was chivalrous towards women, and with some, and these are the very best in England, he was on terms of firm and affectionate friendship. Young husband also states about Kitchener, his personal staff he treated as his own sons. He had such affection for his ADCs that when one had to leave, he was for days after like a bear with a sore head. When war broke out with Germany, Kitchener was appointed Secretary of State for War in August 1914. Placed in a cabinet position in London, his performance was mixed. He recognised from the start that World War I would be long and brutal, and he built Britain's massive volunteer new armies with his iconic poster, giving the country the manpower it needed. His presence also boosted public confidence in the war's early chaos. However, he struggled with the huge administrative demands of modern warfare and was slow to fix ammunition shortages and clashing with Field Marshal Lord French. Kitchener would also be held partially responsible for the logistical failures at Gallipoli and Mesopotamia. Sent on a diplomatic mission to Russia in June 1916, the armoured cruiser that Kitchener was travelling in, HMS Hampshire, was torpedoed and sunk by the German U-boat U-75 just west of the Orkney Islands. Over 70 men were killed, including Kitchener and his ADC. Apparently, as the ship sunk, Kitchener was seen standing on the quarterdeck. 10 members of his entourage died in total. The British Empire was stunned with the death of their great hero. With no known grave, the Northwest Chapel of All Souls at St Paul's Cathedral in London was rededicated the Kitchener Memorial in 1925. Various statues and memorials were erected across the country, including in the Orkney Islands and in Chatham, Kent. In Canada, the township of Berlin changed its name to Kitchener. Other dedications occurred across the empire. Kitchener's British Campaign and Commemoration medals are Egypt Medal with 3 clasps, the Nile 1884-5, Gemazia 1888, I think that's how it's pronounced, and Toski 1889. I don't have the exact 3 clasp examples here as I couldn't find them, but that's the best I could do. Queen Sudan Medal, Queen South Africa Medal with 3 clasps, Johannesburg, Paardeberg, and the Relief of Kimberley. Again, I couldn't find those exact combinations for an example, so I've just used 3 clasps here. King South Africa Medal with 2 clasps, South Africa 1901 and 1902. We have a Diamond Jubilee Medal in 1897 for Queen Victoria. A Coronation Medal for King Edward VII in 1902. A Delhi Durbar Medal in gold in 1903. King George V Coronation Medal 1911. And the last trio of medals were awarded posthumously and handed to his relatives. They are the 1914 Star, British War Medal and Victory Medal. Kitchener also liked to host dinner parties and was very precise about place settings and ensuring all the cutlery was correctly in place. His royal decoration or individual awards include Knight of the Most Noble Order of the Garter, there's a breast star here, Knight of the Most Illustrious Order of St Patrick, another breast star, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Honourable Order of the Bath, that's the neck badge, the Order of Merit, Knight Grand Commander of the Most Exalted Order of the Star of India, I've shown a star here again, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St Michael and St George, I've shown another breast star, Knight Grand Commander of the Most Eminent Order of the Indian Empire, there's the neck badge there and collar chain examples, and finally Knight of Justice of the Order of St John of Jerusalem, the neck badge. During his lifetime and posthumously, Kitchener was awarded a multitude of foreign awards. I may have to do a separate video on that as there's so many. You can imagine many from the Ottoman Empire, but also incredibly Japan, Belgium and France and Italy, amongst others. So that could be an idea for a future video. Overall, I've seen Kitchener described as an excellent administrator, a mediocre leader of men in battle, and a great imperial icon. I think this sums him up pretty well, this description, although to me he's still a complicated and enigmatic man. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some value from this, and I'll see you in the next one.